The Packers kicked off their final week of training camp this week with one of two practices before they head out to Seattle for their final preseason game. A few transactions. The Packers did finally move Trevor Davis to the IR after his ACL tear. In turn with that transaction, they signed linebacker Marvin Pierre. Similarly, Jake Hansen was waived due to his injury, so puts a little bit of a question on some of the backup center stuff, which we'll talk about a little bit later here. And in turn with that transaction, they signed cornerback Elijah Hamilton, bringing in a little more depth and churn at the cornerback position there. For the starters, we saw Rasheed Walker starting at left tackle again. And we had Myers still at center, no change to the rest of the line there. Just that Rasheed Walker continues to fill in when David Bakhtiari is taking a rest day or just sitting it out. It is interesting because at this point it does seem pretty solid that he's surpassed Yosh Nijman for that, third tackle position on the depth chart. Also out there, we saw Rashan Gary back out there for team drills, not just individual work. And we've got some clips of him doing individual work, and he looks explosive. And during some of the team session, he was giving Zach Tom some fits out there at right tackle, just getting a lot of good pressure. I believe one of them was a bull rush that Tom just had a little bit of a struggle with. So good signs from Rashan Gary getting back out there with team. I do think that he's probably trending towards starting week 1. We obviously won't see him in the preseason, but I think he'll still be held on a snap count once he comes back. So we'll still expect to see some J.J. Enigbari out there, some Lucas Van Ness, heavy rotation in the edge room until Rashan Gary's back up to speed where he can get to his higher 60-70% of snaps kind of range. I think they'll probably hold him down to like 25 to 35% of snaps while they ease him back into things. And then running with the safeties was Ford and Savage again out there. A lot up in the air with the safety room. I plan to do another video here later this week talking about the secondary as a whole, but really focusing deeply on that safety position, as that's still a big question mark even 5 weeks into camp now. And speaking of safeties, we did see Innis Gaines return from injury, so good to see him back out on the field as well. Getting back towards that offensive line talk we had, we see here Caleb Jones working some tackle drills, shuffling back, pass protection stuff, and then Zach Tom working through with John Runyon on a few different moves heading off to the right before they hit the sled here. The biggest thing is seeing what that rotation is going to look like. Where are they going to settle on the center position? At this point, Matt LaFleur has talked about Josh Myers has been blocking well, but he's been struggling in the snapping department. Kind of a big deal for a center. So have we considered maybe moving him to guard and kicking somebody inside? I know they've run JRJ a little bit at center with the second team. I'm pretty sure they're confident in Zach Tom to move over there. But it's ultimately, where do they want to pull pieces from? I think they want to get away from the idea of, constantly shuffling the offensive line like they did for a number of years when Matt LaFleur first came to Green Bay. It's one thing to plug and play one person, but when you're making moves that then impact 2 or 3 positions along the line, that chemistry gets shaken up a bit, and I don't think that they want to continue down that path into the future here. So I think they want to identify who's going to make that move, and then I think they want to stick as closely to that as possible. But for Jordan Love, he had a bit of an up and down day. It was a windy day in Green Bay, which caused him to miss a few guys here and there, including a wide open Luke Musgrave, very similar to the pass that he missed to Musgrave in that Bengals preseason game. So some of that, but he did connect very nicely to, Dobbs, Watson, Reed. He had a nice fade that he threw to Reed for a 78-yard touchdown. Another one of the beautiful throws that Jordan Love made today was a shot across the middle to Samori Toure. He really influenced the ball placement well on this. So he placed the ball a little bit behind Toure, which caused Toure to make a sliding catch. But by making the sliding catch, it helped Toure avoid taking a shot. So really like just building some trust with his receivers that he's not going to hang them out to dry, so that they're not going to go out there and get alligator arms when the ball is coming their way. But that concludes today's practice. We have one more practice left today. It should be at 11 o'clock Central Time. So we'll see a bit more of that, and I'll be back with the footage from today's practice for you. And make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other film breakdowns like this one here from the Patriots game.